A diagram based question which is asking for the neural columns which not carried by the marked nerve. This is basically a transverse section of the cervical region where we are looking at the vagus nerve in the carotid sheath. Outside laterally we have internal jugular vein, and inside medially we have common carotid artery which will then continue as internal carotid artery but will be inside the carotid sheath. So inside carotid sheath you have three components, can be seen on the other side also. So vagus nerve, they are asking which neural column it is not carrying. When you say GSA, it is general somatic sensation, general somatic afferent means sensation, and vagus nerve does carry some general somatic afferent sensation, like auricular branch of vagus carrying sensation from the posterior wall and the floor of the external auditory canal, and also some sensation from the tympanic membrane. So auricular branch of vagus definitely carry some general sensation, GSA. What about GVA? When you are talking about GVA, it is general visceral sensation. So sensation means afferent, and of course it will carry general visceral sensation from the abdomen, like till midgut it is supplying from the thorax region. So these viscera, also the aortic bodies and aortic sinus for pressure reception, chemoreception, reaching the lower part of nucleus tractus solitarius in the lateral medulla. We'll draw a diagram for that also. So it is basically going to nucleus tractus solitarius, the lower part, and the neural column is GVA. Then what about the GSE? No, it is not GSE. Why? Because GSE is general somatic efferent, and when you say so, it means the muscles which do not develop in pharyngeal arches. They are the muscles of eyeball and tongue. So now number 3, 4, 6 and 12, they belong to GSE. When you say the muscles of eyeball and tongue do not develop in pharyngeal arches and they have this neural column GSE, their nerves are 3, 4, 6 to eyeball and 12 to the tongue, they will be considered as GSE. Actually vagus nerve is SVE. Now when you say vagus nerve is SVE, what is SVE? Special visceral efferent. They are the pharyngeal arch muscles, like first arch, second arch, arch number 3, 4 and 6. So what are the muscles of the first arch? First arch you have mandibular branch of trigeminal controlling muscles of mastication. In the second arch you have the facial nerve controlling muscles of facial expression. And when it comes to arch number 3, 4, 6, you will have nucleus ambiguous, the number 9, 10, cranial part of 11, and this nucleus ambiguous controlling muscles of palate, pharynx and larynx. So that is where the vagus nerve will come into play, as we are suggesting that arch number 3, 4, 6 having muscles of palate, pharynx, larynx developing pharyngeal arch muscles controlled by nucleus ambiguous, the number 9, 10, cranial part of 11, that is SVE column. So vagus nerve has SVE, it does not have GSC. Immediately you will get your answer. What about GVE? GVE is general visceral efferent, and when you say general visceral efferent, it means the autonomic nervous system, that is the smooth muscles or the smooth muscles of the glands or even the cardiac muscles. So of course vagus nerve has a dorsal nucleus of vagus again in the lateral medulla, and that is going to control the dorsal nucleus of vagus in the lateral medulla, going to control the cardiac muscles, the glands and the smooth muscles also under the vagus nerve. So definitely it has GVE. Let us show them all in the lateral part of medulla because they will be affected in lateral medullary syndrome or Wallenberg syndrome. So when you draw the brain stem, this is the midline of the body. Looking from the front view, you are drawing the brain stem. Brain stem will have three components, that is starting with the midbrain. Below the midbrain you will have the pons, and then you have medulla oblongata. In the medulla oblongata you can start with the motor column because it is the arrangement of neural column which comes as a question. Motor are more medial, and the sensory or afferent are lateral. In that also they will ask you what is the sequence of arrangement of the nuclei laterally. So medially motor nucleus we can show here, it is the number 9, 10 and cranial part of 11, which is called nucleus ambiguous. Nucleus ambiguous is to control muscles of palate, pharynx and larynx, and they are for speech and swallowing. And definitely, as we are telling, vagus nerve has a part here. Now on this side I am showing motor. What about the sensory? Sensory, you have to understand what is the arrangement of the neural columns because as I told you, comes as a question. First you should show the GVA, then you'll have the SVA, and then you'll have the GSA, and lastly you'll have SSA. That is the arrangement of neural column from medial to lateral. So what about GVA? The lower part of nucleus tractus solitarius. Remember, all of these are in the lateral medulla. So when they are in the lateral medulla, of course they'll be affected. Even the nucleus ambiguous will be affected in lateral medullary syndrome or Wallenberg syndrome. In Wallenberg syndrome, there will be some clinical features which of course will include difficulty speech swallowing because nucleus ambiguous will be compromised, and gag reflex will be lost because for gag reflex you need the number 9 as well as 10. But along with that there will be some sensory problems also, like the lower part of nucleus tractus solitarius. So what is received by lower part of nucleus tractus solitarius? GVA. What is GVA? Visceral sensation, general visceral sensation, GVA. Even the proprioception or the chemoreception from the aortic bodies. Now what about the tip of the nucleus tractus solitarius? The tip is for the taste. Tip is for the taste, and that is, you can remember a mnemonic, SWAT NTS. What is SWAT NTS? Special visceral afferent sensation carry the taste T to the tip of nucleus tractus solitarius, and the nerves involved are FGV nerve, facial glossopharyngeal vagus. So vagus is definitely involved, carrying taste from the posterior tongue and the epiglottis. What about the GSA? For GSA, actually you have to understand that the sensation from the external ear, the external auditory meatus, and even tympanic membrane is carried by vagus branches, auricular branch of vagus, but towards the trigeminal nerve nucleus. So which trigeminal nerve nucleus? You will see that trigeminal nerve is having a nucleus which is main sensory, mesencephalic sensory, and one which enters the spinal cord is the spinal sensory. So this spinal sensory nucleus of trigeminal, spinal sensory nucleus of trigeminal is receiving vagal branches from the external auricle region. So that is also compromised, of course, in the Wallenberg syndrome. Then what about the SSA? SSA, vagus nerve doesn't carry. It is basically the 8th nerve, vestibulocochlear nerve. Just remember for the sake of information. Otherwise, vagus doesn't carry the SSA. Then what does it carry? It carries SVE. This is the SVE, special visceral efferent, when we were talking about the nucleus ambiguous. So nucleus ambiguous is the number 9, 10, 11. It is special visceral efferent muscles which develop in pharyngeal arches. So what does it not carry? It doesn't carry GSC. You can also show GSC neural column here, the number 3, 4, 6 and 12. So number 3, 4 in the midbrain, and the number 6 in the pons, the number 12 in the medulla oblongata. This is GSC. These are the muscles of the eyeball and the muscles of the tongue. And as you talk about GSC, general somatic efferent, or muscles which do not develop in pharyngeal arches, that is eyeball and the tongue muscle. They are the number 3, 4, 6 for eyeball and the number 12 for the tongue. That is GSC. Vagus nerve doesn't have GSC. So as you come back to a question, the marker is in the carotid sheath. This is the location of the vagus nerve, and vagus nerve does not carry GSC. GSC is the eyeball and tongue muscles, and the nerves involved will be the number 3, 4, 6 and 12, not the vagus nerve. That is why the answer of exception, because the question is asking for exception, we'll keep our answer as choice number C here.